I'm a pushover, and I ended up marrying a top-tier womanizer. 1 year later, he started coming home later and later, and the way he looked at me grew more and more full of contempt. I overheard him saying to someone, "She's such an ordinary woman, what right does she have to make me settle down?" I let out a long sigh of relief. Perfect. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have a reason to ask for a divorce. That's what pushover people do, we think of others in everything. Chapter 1. Late at night, Joaquin, who had vanished for 2 months and missed our wedding anniversary, finally came home, half asleep. I was flipped over, before my face was buried into the pillow. I smelled a pungent perfume, bold and intense, just like Joaquin, but it was a woman's perfume. I struggled to turn my head and saw a face so handsome it didn't have a single bad angle. His Adam's apple, the size of a quail egg, bobbed as he moved. His 8-pack abs were hard like a fortress wall, and his side muscles, the serratus, were sharp and well-defined. His eyes were filled with blazing desire, as if he wanted to burn me to ashes. No wonder he topped the must-sleep with list of unethical media outlets for 5 consecutive years. Seeing my face, Joaquin paused for a moment. His eyes cleared a bit, and his excitement dropped noticeably. But he didn't intend to stop. The parts of me he touched felt like they were forced into a spotlight, and goosebumps rose. I instinctively wanted to escape. I called out twice, "Hubby," letting out a few sticky-sounding noises. In a soft, sweet voice, I said, "Hubby, why did you come back early? I missed you so much I didn't even eat dinner." That killed his mood completely. He stopped, got out of bed, and went for the cigarette box in the nightstand. He said, "Are you a 3-year-old? You can't eat on your own?" I sighed with relief, using a ridiculous excuse like I missed you too much successfully threw him off. Normally, someone like Joaquin, a man who had been through countless lovers, should be able to see through my lies easily. But I always acted like I was madly in love with him. I chased him for 3 years, watching him go through girlfriend after girlfriend, and I never gave up. Joaquin once said I was the longest-lasting simp he had ever met. I fell back asleep. Joaquin went out to the balcony to smoke. He was on the phone, and his voice drifted faintly into my ears. "Joaquin, you haven't come to hang out in ages. Staying loyal to your wife now?" Joaquin let out a scoff. "A woman that plain, what gives her the right to make me settle down?" Honestly, the first time, I could barely even kiss her. The guy on the other end laughed out loud. Joaquin swore, "It's the middle of the night. Keep it down. People are sleeping." Just as I was about to fall asleep again, Joaquin finished his smoke and came back inside. He placed a small box by my pillow, fighting off sleep. I peeked at it. Inside was a pair of diamond earrings. Very pretty. If I hadn't seen the matching necklace from the same series, which costs 10 times more, I wouldn't have known the earrings were actually just a gift with purchase. But I wasn't angry. In fact, I felt a strange sense of anticipation. It's been a year. After marrying me, Joaquin seemed like he had completely reformed. But now, finally, he couldn't hold back anymore. Neither could I. Chapter 2. I'm a pushover, but I'm obsessed with looks. I look plain myself, but I've always liked handsome men. Just the thought of an ugly guy writhing on top of me makes me want to die. I've always worked extra hard, because I've known since I was little, I have no looks, no background, and no hot guy will ever like me. My college entrance exam score was decent, but not enough. Famous university grads are everywhere. If you're from an unranked school, you're basically beneath notice. A master's degree wasn't enough either. So I went for a PhD, with my honest-looking face and absolute obedience to my advisor. I made it into a top research institute with excellent grades. I thought, this should be enough. But the first moment I laid eyes on Joaquin, I knew it was still far from enough. I drank at networking dinners with the higher-ups, went back to work overtime afterward, and wrote papers for their kids on weekends. Finally, at a young age, I reached deputy director level. I was now qualified to pursue Joaquin. While I was chasing Joaquin, others tried to set me up with blind dates. I went, and after each one, I was even more determined to chase Joaquin. After every date, I'd go see Joaquin, just to cleanse my eyes. Once, at 2 a.m., he happened to need a designated driver. I didn't hesitate, I went. Joaquin asked me. Do you really like me that much? He asked that while a stunningly drunk woman sat in the passenger seat of his convertible, one shoulder bare. I nodded firmly, without hesitation. Because I'm not into ugly men, I said. Joaquin, I love you. Everyone loves beautiful things. That's what this phrase should really mean. If it just meant loving to dress up, then that's way too superficial. No matter how I look, I love myself. Joaquin burst out laughing at my sudden confession. His messy hair was blown aside by the wind, revealing long, thick lashes and narrow, fox-like eyes, unreasonably beautiful. I even suspected he had gotten work done, but I didn't mind. His pink-tinted knuckles held a long mint-flavored cigarette, and the ash fluttered to the ground as his body shook from laughing. Maria, you're the first person in a while who's made me laugh. Yeah, even my name is plain. That night, he started giving me a little attention, from ignoring all 10 of my invites to accepting 1 or 2 if he was in a good mood. Sometimes, he'd even accept the food I brought him. Eventually, we got together. Not like in those idol dramas where he was moved by my devotion and changed his ways for me. He just got tired of playing around, and his family was pressuring him to settle down. I had a PhD, didn't hang around in party scenes, had a respectable job, and was a dutiful homemaker. Everyone in Joaquin's family liked me, except him. I didn't care why. All I knew was that I'd never have nightmares again about ugly husbands or ugly sons. The day I announced our relationship online, I felt vindicated. I slapped the faces of everyone who said I was delusional. At our wedding, looking at Joaquin's face, like something God handcrafted as a graduation project, I was so excited I felt feverish. His 8-pack abs teased beneath his shirt, tempting me. When the officiant told us to kiss, I accidentally brushed up against his firm chest and his cute little nipples. If I could just tie them up, maybe with diamond rope. Just thinking about it made my knees go weak. Despite being a pure little good girl, Joaquin didn't notice anything. After all, I'm a pushover. His kiss was perfunctory, technique without emotion. I didn't mind. I could make myself happy. That night, I was bursting with happiness. My heart felt like a sponge filled with fresh spring water. I let out a satisfied sigh. The only downside was Joaquin had no sense of service. He didn't care about my experience at all. After all, I was probably the ugliest person he'd ever slept with. Outside, the streetlights were like artificial stars, a compensation for humankind's lost sky. I looked at Joaquin's sleeping face and couldn't help but smile. Those thick, sharp brows, that high-bridged nose, those beautifully shaped lips. Damn, he was good-looking, better than any celebrity. Other than not liking me, he had no flaws. But hey, nobody's perfect, right? As long as he doesn't get disfigured, I'll still love him. We pushovers are just that loyal when it comes to love. Chapter 3. But do I really love Joaquin? What even is love? Freud said, love stems from mankind's longing for a sense of wholeness. Jung said, great souls are androgynous. So-called love at first sight is nothing more than falling in love with another version of oneself. So maybe when I fell for Joaquin back then, I was really just trying to become whole. And now, I am. The next morning, when I woke up, Joaquin was still asleep. His phone kept lighting up with message notifications, profile pics and usernames that screamed influencer. As for the contents, I didn't read them. I kindly plugged in his nearly dead phone to charge. While I was stepping over Joaquin, he suddenly grabbed my ankle. His eyes still shut. He pulled me down onto him. Help me out. His voice was husky with sleep, low and sexy to the point of being criminal. If it had been a year ago, I probably would have pounced on him, thrilled. But now, I awkwardly climbed off him. Honey, a big shot leader's visiting today. I can't be late. Joaquin didn't look pleased. Before leaving, I made sure to say, honey, I'll be away on a 3-day business trip. Take care of yourself. Worried he didn't hear me, I sent the same message via WeChat. Still not at ease. I remembered he'd set my messages to do not disturb. So, I messaged one of his party animal friends. I'll be away for 3 days on a business trip. Please help look after Joaquin. Thanks. I arrived at the office on time. In the evening, I stayed a bit late to work overtime. My supervisor even checked in on me. Mari, the trip's been postponed anyway. No need to rush your prep. Go home early. I'll leave once I finish this document. Though I said that. I didn't clock out until 10:30 p.m. At 10:30, I checked the surveillance app one had installed on my phone and saw a woman knocking on our apartment door. When Joaquin opened it, he was only wearing a pair of pajama shorts. The woman seemed shy. Joaquin sized her up, then stepped aside to let her in. My foot nearly floored the gas pedal. No rush, no rush. Joaquin didn't move that fast. By 11 o'clock, I arrived home. My hand was shaking as I typed the door code. Even got it wrong the first time. I opened the door to a mess. Lace panties, shredded stockings, a disgusting sight. For someone like me, a pushover, it was a huge shock. But apparently, Joaquin moved a lot faster than I expected. The bedroom door suddenly flung open right in front of me. The naked woman was shoved to the door. She turned back to the person inside the room, looking wronged. Joaquin, I flew all the way here for you. Don't kick me out so soon. If you're into something kinkier. What answered her was a bra he tossed out. I sent you the money for the plane ticket. Get lost. Joaquin strolled out lazily as he said it. The woman still wouldn't give up. If you're not into me, I have a friend. She's gorgeous. Let me show you her picture. She's at a club nearby. We could go together and... He lazily lifted his eyelids to glance at the photo. Didn't even have time to reply. And then, he looked up and saw me. The woman immediately fell silent. The whole room went quiet. Chapter 4. That woman was still talking as she left. I've sent you the address. Come quick. Joaquin slammed the door shut. He turned to me and asked, "You're back early? Did you eat? Want something? I'll order takeout." His tone was casual, no guilt, no panic at being caught. But he was talking way more than usual. I didn't respond to a single word. Joaquin reached for the cigarettes in the coffee table drawer. Suddenly, I remembered Joaquin used to really like one of his ex-girlfriends. She didn't like the smell of cigarettes and told him directly she didn't want secondhand smoke. So for a while, Joaquin quit smoking. Too bad she went abroad for work later, and they broke up peacefully due to long distance. If they hadn't, I probably never would have had a shot. Since then, Joaquin never quit smoking for anyone again, certainly not for me. But I don't want to breathe in secondhand smoke either, so I'd regularly throw out all the cigarettes in the house. Not finding any, Joaquin scratched his head in frustration. A few seconds later, he suddenly pulled me into his arms and kissed me. I didn't close my eyes. I saw the look on his face, like a martyr going to execution. I pushed him away. His expression soured instantly. He probably had never been rejected by a woman, especially not someone as plain as me. I demanded, "Who was that woman just now? What do you think?" Annoyance flickered in Joaquin's eyes. "Maria, have I been too soft on you? You were the one who chased me, the one who insisted on being with me. You've known what I'm like since day one. You accepted it all before. What are you making a fuss about now?" A few tears rolled down my cheeks as I gave a bitter smile. I accepted that the man I chased had girlfriends before me, and that they came and went. But I never said I'd accept my husband cheating on me. My tears fell hard. Joaquin's hand trembled slightly. His expression changed. But moments later, he said, "What's the difference? If you can't handle it, we can get divorced." He said divorce so lightly, just like how he used to say let's break up to every girlfriend before me. He was sure I wouldn't go through with it, that I'd cry, beg, and try to win him back, just like all those exes of his, maybe even more extreme. And once, I believed that too. Outside, a streetlight seemed to be broken, flickering on and off, like stars. But around 4 or 5 in the morning, they suddenly shut off completely, jolting you awake. Even Cinderella turning back at midnight had it better. At least she was truly beautiful and kind. I spoke softly. "Okay." Joaquin froze. He hadn't even processed what I said before I continued. "Joaquin, let's get a divorce." His face changed drastically. So drastically I thought he might actually hit me. He laughed coldly in anger. "Maria, you've really got some guts. Don't come crawling back later, like some pathetic little lapdog. I'm Joaquin. I'm the one dumping you." As he left, he held his phone up on speaker mode. "Send me the address again. I'm coming." From the phone came the chaotic noise of a nightclub, along with that woman's voice. "Hurry!" My bestie's heard all about you, she likes you too. The three of us can. Joaquin walked away without looking back. The door slammed shut again right in front of me. The wedding photo on the wall shook from the force. A dashing groom and a photoshopped into a decent beauty bride stood sweetly arm in arm. The bride gazed lovingly at the groom. The groom looked at the camera, calm, with a hint of impatience. No matter how you looked at it, they didn't match. Good thing, it ends here. I let out a long breath. Finally, completely relaxed. Actually, there was one more thing I'd lied to Joaquin about. My business trip wasn't 3 days. It was 3 years. Chapter 5. In front of the Civil Affairs Bureau. I waited for Joaquin from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. He never showed up. I thought that after receiving my message, he'd come storming in with some pretty woman in his arms to divorce me. Made me waste a whole day of personal leave. Whatever. After 2 years of separation, I can still file for divorce on my own. It's actually not bad. Being technically married with a seemingly happy family helps with my employee evaluations and promotions. I didn't try to contact Joaquin again, but I did post a few emo tweets that only he and his crew of scummy friends could see. The day before I left, I received a message from one of Joaquin's scummy friends. Maria, you and Joaquin are not from the same world. I couldn't be bothered to correct him. He even got my name wrong. Then, he sent me a video. In the video, Joaquin was holding a bottle of alcohol in one hand, leaning against the sofa. The liquor ran down his neck and into his shirt, leaving behind a suggestive trace. There were beautiful women on both sides of him, the kind who'd make strangers turn and stare on the street. The person filming clearly intended to show me how wild and carefree Joaquin was living. But just then, someone in the background said, Serafina came back last week. Joaquin didn't react at all, but because I knew him so well, I immediately noticed his hand tightening around the bottle. So that's why. Joaquin rushed back from work early. Not to make up for our missed wedding anniversary, but to make sure he didn't miss her. Serafina. What a classic female lead name straight out of a novel. Joaquin's ex, the one who went abroad for her career. The one he once wanted to marry. The one woman who could truly tame the playboy and pull the king of flings to shore. The video was poorly filmed. It wasn't until the last 30 seconds that the leading lady made her entrance. A seductive woman appeared at the door of the private room, and under the crowd's jeering, walked straight toward Joaquin. The video ended abruptly. I hesitated for a moment and decided to go check it out. Outside the club, I easily found Joaquin's car, an Audi RS7. I arrived at just the right time. Joaquin came out holding a cigarette. He leaned against the car, long legs crossed, his slightly wavy hair tousled by the evening breeze, revealing his sharp jawline. His striking looks attracted the attention of many passers-by, but Joaquin didn't look at any of them. Until Serafina came out. She forced a flattering yet awkward smile and said breezily, Joaquin, do you really dislike me that much? Not even going to say hi? Joaquin didn't respond, but as she approached, he stubbed out the cigarette he had only taken 2 drags from. I heard you got married to that woman who's been simping after you for years. None of your damn business. Serafina wasn't intimidated by Joaquin's attitude. She asked again, do you like her? Joaquin let out a cold laugh but didn't answer. What followed was a long, heavy silence. Serafina quietly looked at Joaquin, her gaze tracing his features. Joaquin simply stood there, letting her look. Time felt strangely long and sticky. Finally, Serafina turned and walked away. Before leaving, she said, I've never been someone who regrets things, but I can't help wondering if I hadn't left back then. Anyway, congratulations on your marriage. Her words were drowned out by the noise of a passing car, but I knew Joaquin had heard every word. He suddenly spoke. I never liked her. I ended the video recording. Originally, I'd wanted to use some leverage to force Joaquin to divorce me quickly. Now it seems, I was just being foolishly sentimental. Joaquin didn't show up at the Civil Affairs Bureau because he didn't want to divorce me? Nope, he was just too busy partying to see my message. The night breeze carried Joaquin's scent, gently brushing the corners of my eyes, now unknowingly wet. 3 years of chasing, 1 year of finally getting what I wanted. I once thought I'd spend my whole life with Joaquin, that when he grew old, the difference in our looks would shrink, and no one would say we didn't match anymore. We did have some sweet moments this year, like shopping at the supermarket together, watching TV together, Well, that was about it. To say I had no feelings for Joaquin? Impossible. We pushovers always end up getting hurt. But luckily, I wasn't too deep in love. Hands in my pockets, I walked away lightly, leaving behind that reunited couple kissing passionately not far behind me. That night, I left the divorce agreement on the table and boarded the plane. Chapter 6. Ever since the night Maria brought up divorce, Joaquin hadn't gone home for a month. During that time, he either stayed at a friend's place, at nightclubs, or sometimes at. Serafina was sitting next to Joaquin. Sensing his gaze, she turned her head and gave him a smile. Around her long swan-like neck was a diamond necklace. Come to think of it, it was part of a set with a pair of diamond earrings. The day he heard Serafina was coming back, he happened to be in a jewelry store picking out an anniversary gift for Maria. He hadn't planned on getting her anything. He had long grown tired of celebrating holidays. Maybe in his first relationship, he'd make an effort, but after dating more and more, he just stopped. But a wedding anniversary, that was a first. While he was on a business trip, he received a message from Maria. She wrote, "Honey, happy anniversary. Hope work isn't too hard." There was also a picture of a scarf she was knitting. To Joaquin, it was both corny and strangely touching. So, he walked into a jewelry store. When he saw that diamond necklace, he thought of Serafina. Serafina was in the same industry as him, a model. Her neck was especially beautiful, like that of a white swan. But even Joaquin hadn't expected that in the end. He'd marry not the swan, but the ugly duckling. At that thought, Joaquin couldn't help but curl his lips into a smile. And right at that moment, as if fate were playing a joke on him, he got a call from a friend. Serafina was coming back, and she was single. On the phone, his friend was still chirping on, but Joaquin had already asked the clerk to wrap up the necklace. The clerk said, "Sir, this is our most popular item this season. It comes with a complimentary pair of diamond earrings." Serafina didn't have pierced ears. Maria did. So really, this was meant to be Maria's anniversary gift. His friend heard this over the phone and teased, "Don't tell me you're giving it to Serafina?" Joaquin replied, "Of course not. Why would he give a gift to a woman who had dumped him? Wouldn't that make him a pathetic simp?" But now, that necklace was on Serafina's neck. She didn't need to do anything. Just quietly looking at him was enough to make her the exception. Their souls matched, and their bodies even more so. Suddenly, Joaquin's phone buzzed. Maria's name flashed through his mind. He unlocked it, only to remember he'd long set Maria's messages to do not disturb. So, whoever sent the message, it wasn't Maria. Joaquin tossed his phone aside. Serafina suddenly sneezed and nestled into Joaquin's arms. She said, "It's already spring. Why is it still so cold? If I'd known, I would have brought a scarf." Joaquin thought of the scarf Maria had knitted for him. He said, "I have one. I'll go get it for you." With that, he picked up his car keys and stood up. His friends were still joking around. "You're suffocating this poor single dog." First time I've seen Joaquin being this considerate. Serafina looked a little shy, but her eyes were filled with pride. Joaquin had plenty of people coming and going in his life, but the one he truly liked was her. Of course, there were plenty of men around Serafina, too, but Joaquin always managed to stand out. Serafina thought Joaquin was just going to the car to get it. She didn't know he was driving all the way home. The night wind howled past his ears. A driver cursed at him through the window for changing lanes too suddenly. When he reached his doorstep, Joaquin glanced at the time. By now, Maria should be asleep, but he didn't deliberately quiet his steps for her. In fact, the sound of the door opening was louder than usual. He didn't even bother changing his shoes. He walked straight into the bedroom and asked, "Where's the scarf you knitted me?" The bedroom was silent. No one answered him. Joaquin turned on the light. Of course, there was no one in the bed. On the bedside table was a small box. Inside was the pair of diamond earrings. And on the living room table, Joaquin saw the divorce agreement. Chapter 7. I crossed thousands of kilometers. The distance from north to south might as well have been going abroad. It took me a month to adjust to the humidity down here, to no longer let the sticky feeling in my hair ruin my mood. Don't let my appearance fool you. I always return every slight. The guy in front of me, making awkward conversation, was someone I matched with on a dating app. He looked decent, but I had nothing to talk about with him. I used an alarm as an excuse and left. In this unfamiliar place, I used dating apps without restraint. I wasn't afraid of running into anyone I knew. I met one man a week, just to pass the time. The best way to de-romanticize attractive men is to spend time with them. Though I wasn't that obsessed with beauty anymore. Who would choose an ugly guy? Really? 2 months into my gold mining from the mud project, I actually found a piece of gold. The man was 15 minutes late. He wore a finely tailored suit, and his hair was styled with wax, but maybe he had rushed, because a few strands had fallen, making him look less formal. His features were soft and pleasing, a high, straight nose, lips neither too thin nor too full, and corners of his mouth that seemed to naturally curve into a smile. Not as striking as Joaquin, but very easy on the eyes. He also spoke with grace. "Sorry I'm late. Let me get the bill." It only took one meal for me to realize he wasn't from the same social class as me. He was likely far richer than Joaquin's family. Joaquin came from a middle-class local family in the North City. He worked as a model and had even started his own streetwear brand. He earned a lot and spent even more. But the man in front of me, I couldn't read him at all. Throughout the conversation, I felt completely at ease, which meant he was making himself compatible downward for me. Rationally, I knew, if I'm just looking to kill time, I shouldn't get involved with someone like this. Emotionally, though, I was reluctant to let him go, especially at the moment when I almost tripped. And he caught me. He released my hand in a gentlemanly manner and instead supported my arm. Once I was steady, he politely created distance again. So well-mannered, it made him feel unattainable. I caught a hint of his cologne. Cool, clean. It seemed like silver mountain water. On impulse, I asked, "Would you like to grab a drink?" Raphael looked momentarily surprised. Then he smiled. "That's not what you said when you asked me out." I didn't press. "Then never mind." Just as the words left my mouth, Raphael said, "I don't like bars." So, did that mean he wanted to go to my place? Maybe it was just that the southern night felt especially enchanting. The streetlights flickered, bustling and bright. I didn't hesitate. I nodded. "All right. We're both adults, no need to pretend." Half an hour later, Raphael and I were sitting by the roadside, clinking bottles. I was speechless. Right. It's not like the only 2 places in the world where bars were my place. 1 bottle in, I started talking about Hegel, Kant, and my views on love. 2 bottles in, I told him I was married to a very handsome man, a childhood dream come true. He raised an eyebrow, but didn't leave. 3 bottles in, I said the relationship was already broken. We were separated and in the process of divorce, so it didn't count as cheating. Raphael seemed to smile. He said, "If you cheat, I don't mind. When someone's immoral behavior doesn't hurt anyone, then it's not actually immoral." I said, "That's sophistry." 4 bottles in, we discussed marriage systems from feudal dynasties to the present day. 8 bottles in, I asked him, "Is yours big?" Chapter 8. I woke up in my own home. Raphael had brought me back, placed me on the bed, even removed my makeup for me, then left. Thinking back on last night, I felt a little regretful. Looks like, for the sake of saving face, I'd have to give up this piece of gold. Maybe it just wasn't meant to be. That thought lasted until Monday, when I saw the new leader in the meeting room. Raphael was in a shirt, trench coat, and dress pants, tall, composed, exuding authority. He greeted everyone with a smile. "I look forward to working with you all." No wonder we got along so well. Turns out we were grazing in the same pasture. A well-informed female colleague whispered in my ear, "He has powerful connections." That kind of gossip didn't interest me much. I gave her a half-hearted response. She got competitive and said, "Just wait. I'll go dig up more." She spent the entire morning investigating and came back with a few pieces of intel. Harvard grad. From the north too. Same hometown as you. His parents both work in the public sector. I could see that much from the HR file. She said, "Don't give me that look. Wait for it. I'll get more." Her next round of snooping led to Raphael cornering me in the break room. "I heard you've been asking around about me?" The coffee cup in my hand nearly spilled on him. If you want to know something, you can just ask me directly. I let out an awkward chuckle. No, not at all. Raphael smoothly followed up. If you're too shy to ask, you can treat me to dinner. I was going to say no. Then I remembered, he outranked me by half a level. I was afraid he'd make things hard for me. So I agreed. Close to the end of the workday, my colleague leaned in with her face practically shouting, "Ask me." I sighed and said, "So what did you find out? Does he pee standing up or sitting down?" She rolled her eyes. "Don't underestimate me. I found out he transferred here for his fiancée. Okay. Maybe it's not that juicy. You're probably not surprised. A guy that handsome, with that background, of course he's not single. Hey, why are you leaving?" I wasn't done talking. Before the dinner, I put on makeup. Not that natural look that actually takes a full hour to do. This time, I chose a celebrity-inspired look, one I had carefully studied to suit my face and features. Just before heading out, I got a call from Joaquin. Staring at the word husband on the screen, I froze. Joaquin almost never called me. Back then, even when I had to entertain clients until 10 at night, he wouldn't call to check in. I hung up, then replied on WeChat. "Heading out now. If it's urgent, just send a message." By the time I got in the car, he still hadn't replied. I thought for a second and sent another. "Is there something in the divorce agreement you're not satisfied with?" After I sent it, a red exclamation mark appeared. He had deleted me. Instinctively, I tapped into Joaquin's social media feed. Chapter 9. His WeChat was set to public, even non-friends could see his posts. The latest one was a screenshot of Serafina's social media post. Serafina had written, "You are my invincible summer." Attached was a photo from a few years ago, on a summer night beach. Two shadows. The long-haired one was spinning and dancing. The taller one was holding her waist. Afraid she might fall, Joaquin reposted it with a caption, "No need for introductions. You all know her." Clearly, Serafina had a wider vocabulary than he did. He probably didn't even realize that Serafina's line was adapted from Camus' lyrical and critical essays. Serafina wanted to marry Joaquin. I kept scrolling. Joaquin's previous post was from 2 years ago. It was a photo at the airport with a tagged location and just 2 words, "business trip." Even without seeing the comments, I could imagine how many there were. That location? A different city in the same country where Serafina was living at the time. In short, his social media had never had anything to do with me. Not even our wedding. After dinner with Raphael, right before parting, he suddenly said, "Not up for a drink?" I was just about to refuse when he added, "You looked like you wanted one tonight, and I just happened to want one too." He really was as perceptive as that stray dog that used to linger outside my building long ago. When I avoided its gaze, it knew I didn't want to be bothered that day. When I slowed my pace, it would come closer. When I was heading home, it would pretend to be tired and say goodbye too. Unfortunately, it disappeared later on. A few drinks in, I was tugging at Raphael's tie, crying. "I know I'm just average looking, but I work so hard. I have a good job. I'm kind, don't I deserve love?" Raphael took the glass from my hand and said with a smile, "Have you ever thought, the kind of love you're talking about is just one kind, the kind that values looks? The people you've chosen can only offer you that kind of love. There are others, who care more about what's inside." I interrupted him, nodding. "I've known that for a long time, but why do people keep reminding me of it over and over again?" I knew I wasn't particularly beautiful, and I had already accepted that. Honestly, I wasn't ugly either, just average. But when people come up to your face again and again to tell you that you're average looking, it still stings. That's exactly what Joaquin was doing now. He kept telling me, again and again, that he didn't love me at all. Raphael chuckled helplessly. "If you already know, then why are you crying so loudly?" He got up to pour me a glass of water. Yes, this time we were drinking at my place. I laughed a couple of times and said, "It's a rare opportunity." As I lay on the bed, I heard Raphael say, "If it's okay with you, next time you don't have to wear makeup. I always worry about getting it in your eyes when I'm helping you take it off." He paused, then added, "I'm not someone who judges by appearance." As he stood up to leave, I suddenly said, "Stay tonight. I saw his back freeze slightly. I have a guest room. I didn't actually want to do anything with a man who had a fiancé. I didn't want her showing up at my office with a protest banner. When it comes to things like this, women don't get treated like men. One scandal and your whole career can be ruined. The next morning, the bedding in the guest room was neatly untouched. There was no one else in the house but me. Just as I was thinking of ordering takeout, the doorbell rang. It was Raphael, in a tracksuit, holding a thermal food container. He said it so naturally. "You drank too much last night, so I made you some millet porridge. Went for a morning run, figured I'd drop it off on the way." I was about to fall for him. Luckily, I'm a pushover who's been hurt. I don't fall for love so easily anymore, and I don't believe someone like him would actually like someone like me. As I walked Raphael out, from a distance, I spotted a familiar figure smoking next to the flower bed. Chapter 10. Joaquin's gaze fell on Raphael. Raphael's hair was damp with sweat, looking as if he had just showered. Joaquin crushed the cigarette in his hand. Raphael stood in front of me, turned slightly and asked, "Do you want me to explain things to him?" He spoke casually, but he was very close. I caught a faint scent of sweat. It wasn't unpleasant. In fact, it was slightly seductive. I shook my head. No need. Only after saying that did I realize, how did he know Joaquin was my husband? A normal person wouldn't have been able to tell, right? Joaquin spoke slowly, word by word. "Maria, am I dead to you?" His expression was utterly grim, eyes glaring like he could devour me whole. Men are all the same, whether they love you or not. They can't accept being cheated on. I told Raphael to leave first. He double-checked before finally walking away. Before leaving, he softly said, "I'll be nearby. Call me if you need anything." Joaquin's eyes darkened even more. "You ignored my call just to be with him?" So this was about yesterday, me not answering his call. And now he came charging in? "We're just colleagues. Don't overthink it." Joaquin clearly didn't believe me. He kept stepping closer until I was backed into a corner. "You think I'm an idiot? A colleague leaves your house first thing in the morning?" I gave a couple half-hearted explanations. "Look at him. He's so handsome. Why would he be into me?" It was actually a pretty solid excuse. "Finally," I said calmly, with resignation, "if that's really what you want to think, then I can't stop you." Joaquin's face froze for a second. He gripped my wrist, jaw clenched, breath uneven, sensing he was about to explode. I hurried to say, "Besides, I never once questioned you about Serafina." His expression didn't soften much, but he seemed to remember something. His features relaxed just slightly. "Maria, there's no need to retaliate like this. Those men who want to be with you, they're just using you. It's free entertainment for them. And you're not." Joaquin went on, "If you really mind Serafina, I can delete those posts. I won't bring her around you anymore." In that moment, I understood the real meaning behind his words. I'm not breaking up with Serafina, but from now on, I can transfer half my annual income to your card as compensation. I let out a stunned laugh. I looked up at him, that dazzling, stunning face, the one I had chased for hundreds, maybe thousands of days and nights. Even after I'd decided to let him go, I'd still get lost in it. But now, I was tired of it. Tired of this shallow, one-sided love. Even the tastiest ice cream, if you eat it for 1,000 days, you get sick of it. Let alone this cone, it's average quality, licked by a bunch of people, and now wants to sneak out again to be licked by someone else. The thought of spending my whole life with that kind of cone made me feel utterly hopeless. I gave a bitter smile. "Joaquin, do I deserve to be treated like this by you? All these years, I've done nothing but treat you well. Every time you traveled, I packed for you. When you didn't have time to deal with your extended family's social obligations, I handled them all. When your father was hospitalized and you were working overseas, I found the doctors, pulled the strings, arranged the surgery. I don't want to be a spectator in your love story with Serafina anymore. Let's set each other free, Joaquin. Or, are you just not willing to let go?" Chapter 11. A pushover only files for divorce after being hurt. There was a moment of stunned silence in Joaquin's eyes. He opened his mouth but said nothing. I understood him. If I were him, I wouldn't want to divorce me either. Not because of love, but because girls like me, seemingly capable and accomplished, yet still insecure and decent, are rare in today's world. The kind that looks good on paper and makes for a respectable wife. I looked quietly at Joaquin, not in a hurry for his answer, because no matter what he said, it wouldn't change my decision. Finally, he said, "Maria, you really think too highly of yourself. You actually believe I'm reluctant to divorce you? I'll have my lawyer send you the papers." He turned and left right after that, as if I were some kind of monster clinging to his back. I shrugged and responded nonchalantly, "All right, whatever he says goes. As long as we get divorced." There was no progress between me and Raphael. I deliberately distanced myself. When he messaged me, I replied politely and with clear boundaries. His emotional intelligence was high, he surely understood what I meant. I started seeing someone new, much younger, with a soft, baby-faced look. He played in a band. I asked him why he wanted to meet me. The puppy-like guy answered directly, wanted to meet people from different industries, different ages, different backgrounds. I liked that answer. No pressure. Just a one-time date. In the end, I paid the bill. He asked to exchange contact info. I declined. As I walked out of the restaurant, I got a call from my mom. Before I could say a word, she started yelling at me. "You're divorcing Joaquin? He's a local from North City. Do you even realize how many years of struggle you're skipping by marrying a local as an outsider? I think all that studying has brainwashed you." Listening to her arrogant and righteous voice through the phone, I felt a bit dazed. The last time she scolded me with such confidence was probably when I was in elementary school. I had said I wanted to adopt the stray dog downstairs. She locked me outside the house and said, "This home can only have one. If it stays, you don't." When my dad came home, she couldn't wait to exaggerate and tell him everything. He said she was overreacting, tried to mediate, and eventually let me back inside. After that, because I was too good, she never really found another excuse to yell at me. One book I read on East Asian family dynamics said, some mothers are misogynistic. They love their daughters, but can't help trying to suppress and control them. Part of it stems from the absence of the father figure. As a daughter, you're forced to take on some of the emotional roles a husband would. Ultimately, it's the result of ideological and societal conditioning where women are emotionally and spiritually tethered to men. Yet men are the very creatures most likely to vanish, or even if they don't vanish, they're as good as gone. My feelings toward her went through many stages: confusion, anger, understanding, calm, acceptance. I don't know if that book was right, but I have loved her all along. I just refuse to become her. I don't want to give up a lifetime of infinite potential for a mediocre man and a mediocre marriage. On the phone, I heard my father's usual peacemaker tone. "Don't be mad. Our daughter's probably just acting out of impulse. You know how smart she's always been." My dad, so ordinary, yet he enjoys the treatment of a king at home. Someone cooks for him, cleans for him, bears his children, and gave birth to an outstanding daughter who carries his last name. All he has to do is appear like he works hard outside. But for me, I have to carve out a bloody path through tens of thousands of competitors just to earn the same level of family privilege he was handed for free. Chapter 12. I said, "Joaquin cheated." My mom's sharp voice came to an abrupt halt. Then my dad said, "Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Joaquin doesn't seem like that kind of person." I added, "More than once." My dad continued, "But divorce is still a bit rash." My mom's voice drowned his out. "Do you want me to come be with you?" The night breeze carried a hint of spring warmth. I smiled and said, "Mom, no need. I can handle this myself. You know I've always been smart." I tried to contact Joaquin. We had agreed on the divorce papers, yet he hadn't sent them, and now he was running to my parents to complain. At some point, he had added me back, but the messages I sent him vanished into the void. He didn't answer my calls either. Instead, it was Joaquin's mother who reached out to me, clearly trying to talk me out of it. "It's all Joaquin's fault. I've already given him a good scolding. He'll give you all his savings. This will never happen again." I directly sent her the video. After watching it, she said, "Joaquin just..." I cut her off, saying sadly, "Ma'am, I really love Joaquin. I don't want to leave him either. But after everything he's done to me, I really don't know what else to do. Hearing me call her ma'am clearly caught her off guard. Before she could say anything, I continued, Joaquin is technically a public figure. I don't want to make this too ugly. Please let him know if he keeps ignoring me. I won't hesitate to post the video online. I heard something crash on the other end of the call. Seems Joaquin was right there. I hung up. That very day, I received the divorce agreement. I took time off work and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register the divorce. Outside the office, I waited half an hour before Joaquin finally showed up. Serafina was in the car with him. She was about to get out when she saw my mother glaring at her. That's right, my mom showed up after all. She had asked the neighbor's kid to help her book a ticket and came alone without telling me. Serafina quickly pulled her leg back in. She was afraid my mom, an aggressive countrywoman from a small town, would point at her and call her a homewrecker. My mom didn't get the chance to yell at Serafina, so she started in on Joaquin instead. Joaquin called out, Mom, don't call me Mom. Our family doesn't have a son-in-law like you. When he realized that wouldn't help, and my mom was only getting louder, his face darkened. And he snapped back. If your daughter hadn't begged me, I'd have never even considered marrying her. That's the kind of person Joaquin is. Even when he's in the wrong, he'll never admit it. I held back my mother, whose voice was rising by the second. I didn't want to listen to them argue. The divorce slot I'd pulled strings to get was hard to come by. I wasn't going to waste it. After that, the process went smoothly. The staff reminded us to come back in a month for the official divorce certificate. Joaquin's eyes lingered on my pale, exhausted face for a long time, until my mom pulled me away, and Serafina, face dark with anger, called out to him. Joaquin's car disappeared quickly. I figured he had planned to come and flaunt his new love with Serafina, but my mom ruined the moment for them. Chapter 13. After they left, I found a cosmetics counter to remove my makeup. Since it was rare for my mom to visit, I wanted to take her around, so I asked for more time off. My supervisor looked troubled. There was new work on our plate, and I was putting in a last-minute request. I was about to give up, but half an hour later, the leave was approved. It was Raphael. He took on the extra work. After I sent my mom off and returned to work, I messaged Raphael to thank him. Raphael replied with just 2 words, no problem. Just those 2 simple words, and I stared at them for 10 minutes. They tickled at my heart like a feather. That's the kind of person he is. Strangely reserved. I stuffed the scarf I'd originally meant to give Joaquin into a gift bag. Feeling a bit guilty, I added a tie. After a month, I invited Raphael for a drink again. He didn't reply, but I wasn't disappointed. As adults, apart from money, there's really nothing you have to get. Half an hour later, he replied, I'll pick the place. Still short and to the point. I wrote back, okay. Then my doorbell rang. I had just accepted Raphael's confession when I got a call from one of Joaquin's drinking buddies. Raphael had told me he rarely caught feelings, but that even years ago. He thought there was something different about me. I mentally calculated the time he meant. Back then, I was nearing the end of my PhD, playing assistant to my advisor and trying to land a decent job. At a dinner table, I'd been teased, mocked, and even hit with a few dirty jokes. But my expression never changed. Modern civilization may paint a glossy veneer, but male chauvinism plays out vividly at the dinner table. Women are treated like dishes, served, joked about, used to keep things lively. When the dinner ended, I arranged cars for each of the senior guests. Raphael had come with a major player, his relative, so he hadn't been pressured to drink and didn't need me to arrange his ride. He saw me puking by the roadside, then cursing out everyone in my hometown dialect. When I looked up, I saw him. I was embarrassed at first, but then reassured myself he probably didn't understand the dialect, so I slapped on a flattering smile and said, Professor Raphael, you haven't left yet? Actually, Raphael had understood. He caught the swearing, and even the ridiculously childish stuff I said. Then he smiled and told me he was looking at the stars. I looked up, only to see streetlights, and thought he must be blind. But if a superior says it's stars, then stars it is, Raphael later said. The way I looked at him was like I thought he was an idiot, but what I said was obsequious. After that, he ran into me a few more times. Sometimes, I had already achieved what I wanted. Other times, I was still fighting for it. behind my honest expression. My eyes couldn't hide the ambition. But before he had the chance to ask for my contact info, he heard, from someone else, that I was chasing Joaquin. After he finished speaking, I looked at him in surprise. "You like me?" He smiled helplessly. "Haven't you known all along? You kept your distance on purpose, because you didn't want to be responsible for me." "Well," guiltily, I rubbed my nose and asked, "what about your fiancé?" He froze for a moment, then handed me his phone. "I don't know where you heard that rumor. If I have a fiancé or not, you can check for yourself." I flipped through his phone. I didn't look much at his WeChat. I mostly checked his bank balance. Then I decided, maybe we could talk about this. Raphael said, "I haven't been in a relationship for years. I might need a little patience from you. Don't feel pressured. It's not about you. I just hadn't met anyone I was interested in until you." Before he could finish, I grabbed his tie and kissed him. For the first time, he looked flustered, his ears flushing red. When someone usually calm and composed blushes, it's more attractive than a shy boy. Oh, and yes, it was the tie I bought him. The next day, I called back one of Joaquin's sleazy buddies. He said, "Maria, Joaquin broke his leg. He's in the hospital." This time, he finally got my name right, and he spoke very cautiously. It didn't matter, because honestly, I never remembered his name. I said, "You should call Serafina. Joaquin and we're not from the same world." There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then he told me Joaquin's leg had been broken by someone hired by Serafina's sugar daddy. Serafina wanted to marry Joaquin. In their circle, marriage and being kept by someone don't always conflict. But sometimes, they do. Serafina was unlucky. Both her sugar daddy and her husband cared. The sugar daddy had a powerful family, yet didn't allow her to get married. Joaquin had women all around him, yet wouldn't let her have a sugar daddy. Because of the broken leg, Joaquin lost several gigs. He had to pay breach of contract penalties, which wiped out what little money he had. Joaquin and his sketchy friends probably never thought I'd actually show up. When I arrived at the hospital, Joaquin looked awkward, but I caught a flash of surprise in his eyes. His friends quickly found excuses to leave. Joaquin's voice was dry when he finally spoke. "How have you been, lately?" I set the fruit basket on the chair beside the bed and nodded. "Pretty good. But I'm not doing great. Why didn't you come back? You said it was a 3-day business trip. Were you lying to me?" There was a hint of blame in Joaquin's eyes. "You're back for good now, right?" I already talked things over with her. "We're just like before." Pfft. I had intended to act a little heartbroken, but in the end, I couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. Maybe my acting had been too good. It gave him the illusion that I had been waiting for him all along, ready to be his backup plan. Joaquin looked at me, confusion flickering in his eyes. I wiped the tears that had slipped out from laughing and said, "I came back because of a work obligation that needed me in person. Just a reminder, day after tomorrow is when we finalize the divorce certificate. You can come in a wheelchair. If that's too much, I'll hire a caregiver for you." Joaquin stared at me in disbelief. I turned and walked away. On the day we officially finalized the paperwork, Joaquin wasn't late. Even up to the moment we received the divorce certificate, he was still saying, "If you regret it now, there's still time. We don't have to go through with this." As we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau together, he took a deep breath and said, "Maria, I know I made some mistakes before. I hurt you, but..." Raphael stepped out of the car and opened the door for me. Joaquin stared blankly at the scarf around Raphael's neck, and at me, smiling as I spoke to Raphael. "All done?" I nodded, waved the certificate slightly, and got into the car. Before leaving, now that the divorce certificate was firmly in hand, I finally told Joaquin the truth. I said, "You know, I really do regret it. Unlike Serafina, I'm someone who regrets things easily, even though I think carefully before every decision I make. Life experience and perspective still have limits, mistakes happen, but I'm the kind of person who can regret something while still turning the tide. Regret isn't a weakness. I regret marrying you. You're the kind of guy who's fun to date, but absolutely not marriage material." Joaquin still looked like he hadn't processed what I was saying. I gave him one last bright, thankful smile. "And I should thank you, too. If you hadn't cheated, I really wouldn't have known how to ask for a divorce. Had he not committed a fundamental betrayal, no one would have stood on my side. But the foundation of a marriage has never been whether the man makes an unforgivable mistake. People say, marriage is serious business, not something you end just because you stop loving someone, but precisely because it's serious. It should be intolerant of any form of betrayal. With that, Raphael started the car and drove away with me. In the rearview mirror, Joaquin tried to do something, but ended up falling out of his wheelchair. Later, Joaquin came looking for me again, but got kicked out by the security guard at my office entrance. He was shouting that I was treating him like a dog, but no one believed him. After all, I'm just a pushover. Years later, I heard, just by chance, that he'd gone abroad to look for Serafina, and ended up catching that kind of disease. And after that, no one heard about him again. By the way, at that point, I had already reached a position where I no longer had to press elevator buttons myself. As for who the man beside me was, it didn't really matter. He was either someone who made me happy, or someone who could take me even higher.